just living my life, just living my life, just living my life. Just living my life, just living my life, just living my life. It's my time. Just living my life, just living my life, just living my life. It's my time. Just living my life, just living my life, just living my life. It's my time. I came from Philly, then I moved to Harrisburg. Spent time in Cali, blowing on the rarest herb. Made some bread, was a manager then. Good at dealing with people, couldn't handle the pen. Money had me scrambling like Randall back then. Ups and downs with my chick, hard to handle it, man. What's the dough really mean without family and love? Still go for your dreams, but put family above all the shallow shit. People try to take you off your path, you don't allow that shit. Stop wanting love from those that don't know you. Appreciate your folks that seen what you go through. Why would I stop? I don't even know how. Papa Zan, that's the only way I'll slow down. I could entertain y'all, but I'm no clown. Puff and puff on that L till it blows down. Just living my life, just living my life, just living my life. Just living my life, just living my life, just living my life. Just living my life, just living my life.
Hey everyone, Anthony with Interviews with Everyday People, hanging out here in studio at iRock Radio. Very excited about this. I always let my guests introduce themselves, but I just want to get the first initial thing out. So if you guys like what you hear, obviously, all the links below to find iRock Radio, their website, everything, our merch page, all that cool stuff, everything we really go over is in the links below, so you can check all that out and support. Make sure you hit that subscribe button while you're here, and if you give us a like and a comment and tell us what we're doing good, what bad, feedback's always amazing. With that being said, you want to give us a little intro here?
Jay Hunter with iRockRadio.me. .me is very important.
Yes.
There are other iRock radios out there, so
it happens all the time. I found out that there's another. So I use the abbreviation IwEP, and there's other
right.
like I was doing like hashtags. And I did IwEP, and there's a lot like there's like an Indian company that goes by IwEP.
Oh, there is?
I don't know what
Okay.
it means, but they use it. Yeah. So we share hashtags.
just like WWF.
Yes.
Back in the day.
Yep. You ever see the shirts with the panda hitting the other
Yes.
panda with the steel
Yep.
chair?
Yep.
I want that shirt so bad. Yeah, so we actually met a while back at a place, Goodfellas.
Goodfellas in Pottsville.
There was a show going on where it was, I don't remember which one of my buddies' bands was opening that night. I want to say, was it Look Alive?
You know, here
Yes.
was it?
Yes. It was Look Alive.
You can talk too.
Yes.
We can set up a mic for you if you like.
It was Look Alive, and then the headliner that night was Another Day Dawns.
Yes.
Yeah. Lead singer from Tamaqua.
I believe there were two bands there that were actually the same band minus like one person.
Oh, yeah. It was Mahantango and Look Alive.
Okay.
That's what it
There
was.
you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good friends of mine. I'm actually wearing a Look Alive t-shirt at the moment.
Oh, at the camera.
Yeah. Look Alive. Yeah. They're actually the intro music to our other one podcast. Cool dudes. Very, very cool guys. You should spend some time. They have that cool old school rock station sound.
Yes.
They're very
Yeah.
they're inspired by the Crowbot sound.
Okay.
Like that pot.
Okay.
It's like the Pottsville funk rock sound, we say. But yeah, they're good guys. But yeah, so I met you there, and then I was like, well, what's iRock Radio? And we kind of bounced some ideas off each other, and then a buddy of yours, Al, who
Al,
you
yep.
know, so and then he's like, I know your dad, and I see you guys do the beer one, so we kind of just start bouncing, and then I guess you start researching, and you've been a fan of the wrestling one.
I'm a huge fan of the Tornado podcast.
Yes.
Yep. So.
Well, on the way here, I was listening to the station for the first time because I didn't realize that you like I thought when you download the app you had to pay the subscription, but there's a little X up in the corner.
No, and yeah, just to be clear, because I do this as we'll I'm sure get into more, but I do this as well as the other DJs all for fun.
Yep.
We've all worked in FM radio at some point or another in our lives. Some is college radio, some is professional, some is both. But we're not making a penny off of this.
Yeah.
So I got sidetracked. What were we saying?
It happens.
That will happen a lot, by the way. Too many fried brain cells.
Yeah. So I was saying how when I first heard about you guys, I tried to tune in and I was like, I couldn't afford the subscription. Yeah.
Right. And at this moment in time, we do not have our own app.
Yeah.
Because that would cost another $40 a month.
Yes.
So what we are on,
Tune in.
we're on TuneIn. We're on a bunch of other different ones. We were on iTunes for a little while, but it wasn't very easy to find.
Okay.
Because iTunes did do radio stations, but now they're only doing FM radio stations,
Okay.
from what I understand. TuneIn is only doing FM radio stations now also. They were doing internet radio stations. So we were lucky enough to hop on TuneIn before they
Grandfathered it.
cut it off,
Yeah.
and we got grandfathered in. So as long as we're iRockRadio.me, we are grandfathered in.
Oh,
and
cool.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. So
So-
if you go to TuneIn and you type, when you first download the app, it's going to initially pop up saying, "Hey, you need a subscription." There is an upper corner. There's an X.
Upper right-hand corner,
you
there's an
click
X. Close that out.
You're full access to the app.
Yes.
You will get commercials and stuff, but it's full access to all the radio stations.
And with our station at the moment, you pretty much only get a commercial right before the stream starts.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, if we run any sponsors, we don't profit.
Yeah.
So if we do run any ads, we're literally just running a promo for a concert that we're doing,
Yeah.
or that we're involved in, or we're offsetting some of our royalty costs.
Yeah.
Because every song that we play, the royalty fees have to be paid
Mm-hmm.
to ASCAP, BMI, SESAX, Sound Exchange, etc.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. If you hear me talking about something or giving it like an on-air plug, I'm definitely not getting paid for it.
Right.
I just enjoy doing it, and I'm passionate about what I'm putting out there.
We just love. We have a passion for radio, and we have a passion for rock music.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
I've always been a fan of radio, but I guess because of my influence, I've always had a love-hate for radio, I guess you could say. I am a huge Howard Stern fan, so I guess like I love Howard because he's Howard. He's with no apologies. He is who he is, and he's going to be who he is, and he's talented enough that he's changed the game.
He has,
You know what I mean?
without a shadow of a doubt. And one of my my first full-time job in radio included running board, not in the building with him, but at an affiliate of Howard's running the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm very, very, I just remember being probably way too young to be listening, but at the time, my dad would drive me to school, and I was using my grandmother's address at North Schuylkill, and I was living in Monty City, but I really wanted to play soccer, and Monty wouldn't let me go and play soccer in front of the school, so I was illegally using my grandmother's address, and my dad would drive me every morning. I'd get up super early, and he would either drive me to Ashland, or he would, depending on how early we got up, he would drive me to Ashland so I can then take the bus, or he would just drive me straight to North Schuylkill. And every morning we'd listen to Howard Stern on the way to school. And I just remember being a kid like, this is awesome. Like, and it wasn't because I was a kid and I was like, they're talking about boobs or any like silly things like that. It just was. I guess I've always been drawn to someone just being themselves. Like, as a wrestling fan, like when AEW, like they look NXT, like you could tell when the promotion's having fun. They're not so like when someone's being scripted on a mic or when someone's allowed to be themselves. It just shines.
Sure.
That genuineness shines, and I'm attracted to that. So I've always been a fan of Howard for that reason. Like he just. And then obviously like growing up and then seeing the movie and then just following his career, I've just been very, very inspired. And then the podcast world came and I was like the Kevin Smiths and the Joe Rogans. I was like, this is where this is what I want to do.
You know, it's funny. It's not just the attraction of people being themselves, but in all honesty, it's just people are just better at performing when they're being themselves.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not going to, try to tweak this into your Tornado podcast.
Yeah.
But that's why the Attitude Era was so awesome.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Wrestling-wise, not the greatest.
It wasn't necessarily because of the attitude itself.
Mm-hmm.
It was because everyone had a chance to be themselves.
Yeah.
And Vince wasn't micromanaging.
Yep.
100%. And D-Generation X was just being themselves. They were granted everyone's a caricature of themselves.
Yeah.
Same as DJ is on the air. You know, like what you're hearing right now, it might be tweaked a little bit when you hear DJ talking by themselves in between songs.
Yeah.
But you're a caricature of yourself, and as long as you're still portraying yourself, you're always going to do better.
Yeah.
When I first started doing radio, it was funny because it was in your hometown, or not your hometown, but where you are now, close to Pottsville.
I'm in Pottsville all the time.
And the radio station that I was working at, I went from college radio to being on a top 40 station. And I was fine with that because at the time, top 40 played everything. Top 40 played dance, they played alternative, they played rock, they played everything as long as it was a hit. And at the time, it was like late 80s, early 90s. So there was this whole type of genre of DJ that we called it puking. And puking is when, hey, everybody, we're going to talk like this, and I'm going to talk really fast, and I'm going to try to rhyme, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to...
And like how Howard makes fun of, hey, WNBC.
Right, WNBC. And I just was so eager to get into the business, and I thought, you know what? Tamaqua, Pottsville. All right, they're not getting it. In Allentown, they do this.
Yeah.
In Philly, they do this. So I tried to adopt that. That friggin' ruined me. It ruined me. So, I mean, for years and years and years, I've tried to play catch up because once you get in the habit of puking, you can't get out.
Yeah.
So when I finally started working at WZZO, a Heritage Rock station in Allentown, they didn't know what to do with me. And I feel so bad. Robin Lee, who, I love her to death. She's a wonderful woman, and she gave me my break into rock radio. And she is just amazing. And she also DJ'd on YSP, and she also DJs now on WMMR in Philadelphia. And but God love her, she didn't know how to wind me down. And the truth is, I don't know if anybody could have at the time. Because she basically said, okay, take your headphones off. Okay, do this. Okay, do that. And you know what I sounded like? I sounded like this all the time. And I was going to play Led Zeppelin. And I was going to and I sounded bored.
Yeah.
Bored out of my mind. It was either full throttle
or nothing at all.
Or I was on idle.
Yep.
There was no in between. So, it's amazing how I had jobs during this time period and transition in my life.
Once again, like going back to old Howard, you listen to Howard when he first started. He was horrible. He had a real high pitched nasally voice. This is Howard Stern. Like you're like, wow. And then he's the king. He's the king. Yeah. Like no one ever is good when they first start something. Like
no,
you know what I mean? And you got to go through those growing pains. But that's what separates you from everybody else. If you're willing to keep going through those growing pains.
And I figure I'll name drop because a lot of your listenership is around the Schuylkill County area. So, RC, good friend of mine, and we kind of got in the radio around the same time. He got in a little bit sooner than I did, but yeah, he did the same thing, but he straightened himself out pretty quick.
Yeah.
Had a good teacher, and he kind of stuck around that area. So he had one teacher, and I through college I had teachers from different markets and also in different formats, and so I was like, oh well, they don't know what they're doing here. Yeah, they did. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah,
but. So I guess it kind of runs down to being a punk kid and thinking that you know better.
Yeah. And
for the first, I'd say 5 years, maybe even 10, I was out of 22 years, I was a punk kid who thought he knew a lot better than what he did. And, if I can go back, there's so much that Scott Carr, Paula Perez, Jackie Hoffman, Robin Lee, and Jack Myers had taught me that I look back now and I'm like, they were trying to tell me this stuff back then.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't listening. And then, people like you come along and do a podcast and you're ready to do an air shift right off the bat. You have the voice for it. You already know the natural ability of it. So if you ever want to do a shift on irockradio.me, you can. You're always welcome.
Awesome, that'd be really fun. I always said we made jokes about it because I kind of not harass, but I'm very vocal about T102 and I don't know the insides and outs, so I don't try not to come off as disrespectful. But there's some things that I wish they'd done more, and we were just talking about off camera.
There's a lot of people that locally. They only see the area as one particular thing.
Yeah.
And they're not looking at it on a business standpoint or a programming standpoint or
Yeah.
anything like that. So
I'm coming off as a guy who does this just for pure passion. How you're doing yours for pure passion. So I'm not making money. I mean, if I did, it'd be great. But I'm not. That's not my end goal.
Right.
But I look at my area and I take pride in where I come from in School County and being like, even though I'm a one side of the like School County obviously is very divided by the mountain. If you're on one side of the mountain. Tamako, you guys kind of
what are you talking about?
Tamako kind of got lumped into the Pottsville crowd because they were a nicer town. But like Monty City, Shenandoah, Girardville, Ashland, they're like, you guys stay where yous belong.
Pottsville or Tamako was a nicer town?
Yeah, I mean, maybe back in the day. But I just remember, now that I remember I didn't really dive into those other towns until I was much, much, much later and out of high school. You kind of stay with your niche. Like you stay in the Monty. It's like the only two crowds that really intermingle was like maybe Monty City and Shenandoah kids because they were close. Where if you were like, I didn't really start experiencing the Pottsville crowds and stuff until much, much, much later. And now I kind of see School County as a whole. And I'm very proud of where I come from. I think there's so much amazing talent and so much amazing things going on. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm starting to build this platform. And I'm trying to educate people on those cool things. Maybe my style going about it could be different, but it is what it is. Once again, I'm just trying to be myself. Like, so sometimes conversations come up that maybe aren't the greatest for everyone, but it is what it is. We are School County. We are School County. But I feel like my interview thing, I don't try to do an interview. I try to do a conversation. So when I sit down and talk to a band or a business or someone's trying to do something in the area, it's more or less just because once again, being a Howard Stern fan, I remember I would tune in and be like, I hate Miley Cyrus. Can't stand her. Hate everything about her. And then I think back, I'm like, do I hate her because I was told to by the media? Because she's not, like, she's doing crazy things. And she's
Are
not
you just not a fan of the music?
Am I not a fan of the music? I didn't even listen to her music. I'm just being told because it's the cool thing to do as being a 30-year-old white male that I shouldn't be listening to Miley Cyrus. And then I start diving in, and I listen to it. I'm like, she's super talented. And then I hear her interviewed on Howard Stern, and I'm like, she's a cool person. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's And then I'm thinking to myself, all right, so we live in School County where everyone's judged right away. So like, you know this one person and you're affiliated with this person, so I'm immediately judging you because we live in a small coal region town.
I would not even associate it with Schuylkill County because the truth is, just as a society in general, we are judged.
Yes.
We're judged the second somebody looks at you.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Like I started shaving my head. I shaved my head now over half my life.
Yeah, that means you're a neo-Nazi.
Most people don't realize that. At this point in my life, they're thinking, "Oh, the guy's like in his upper 40s. He shaves his head because he's going bald."
Yeah.
No, I had a full head. I had a full, not just a full head of hair. I had a full wavy mullet.
Really?
And I went straight from a mullet to shaving my head.
You should bring the mullet back.
Should I bring the mullet
should
back?
definitely
See, now it would be the skullet.
Yeah.
Now it would. Yeah. but when I started shaving my head, it was 22 years old. 22 years old, I started shaving my head. And at that time, if you weren't Ed Kowalczyk from Live, he just shaved his head.
Yeah.
Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins, he just shaved his head. If you weren't one of those two people and you had a shaved head, you were a skinhead.
Yeah. You were racist.
You were a white supremacist.
Yep.
And that was something that kind of I was looked at funny for a while.
Yeah.
I was. And then slowly things started to progress.
Yeah.
And become more pop culture accepted. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So my idea was if I just do this style of podcast and I could bring someone on to sit down and talk and people actually listen to their stories. And like, because we're all the same people, regardless if you're from Monty City or Pottsville or Shenandoah. There's really no difference in how we were brought up. There's really no difference of what we've experienced. And if people can just let that go, and then they're like, you know what, like they were really cool in the interview. Me personally went out and listened to more and supported more of that artist because I heard a really good interview by Howard Stern. And I was thinking to myself, like, how can I bring that to a local level? And that's kind of why I did what I did, you know? So like, going back into like the T102, everyone's like, oh, you should get a job. And I was like, they probably wouldn't hire me because my whole objective would be, how do I incorporate local? I'm just very passionate about that. That's my thing. Like, yeah. But I understand they have bills to pay and stuff like that. Yeah.
Look, I don't know anybody that works there anymore.
Yeah.
One, but I haven't been in contact with him for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I can't honestly say that I know anymore how they're running things. All I'm going to say is when it comes to certain bands, promoting them, or certain types of events that have to do with bands, they are a CHR, or what would be considered maybe a hot AC type format. That being said, the names of those formats have altered, at least since I've worked there. They don't really play rock anymore.
No.
So,
and if they do, it's like pop rock.
So if they're not doing rock anymore, why would they want to do something that incorporates a rock audience? What that's going to do is that's going to turn off the people that do listen to them for their format. And the one thing that I always try to do with iRockRadio.me is .me. The one thing that I always try to do with that is because, like people will say, oh, well, you play unsigned bands too. Why don't you play this band? And, I'm like, okay, well, you know what? This band is really good.
There's a lot of layers to rock.
Yeah. Yes, there is. But I'm like, this band is really good, but they don't necessarily fit our format.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but they're from the same area that you broadcast from, so why don't you want to support them? Okay. And I'd love to support them. And I will on a personal level, but even with a hobby, regardless, you want the people that listen to you as a business, or a hobby or whatever, but your goal, even if you're not a profitable business, your goal is to have the most people listen. Okay. So let me turn it around for you.
Sure.
Okay. People listen to your podcast, specifically this one, because they want to hear you talk to people, just having conversations with them, finding a little bit about their background and everything else. And for the most part, they're local people, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what if all of a sudden somebody went to your podcast and they clicked on it and it was nothing but Christmas music around June?
Yeah, they'd be like, what is this?
I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of the same thing. And that's why
I listen to radio after the day after Thanksgiving. I'm not she's not in the room. I hate Christmas music.
You hate Christmas music?
It's so bad.
All right. We're not even going to talk about this right now.
So bad.
We're not even going to talk about this right now.
You turn on the radio, it's the same. It's how many times and by how many different artists you hear the same song. It's like the same 4 songs by 14 different people. I'm like ready to kill myself by the end of the day.
All right. So anyway, Scrooge. But no, like if people are expecting to hear a certain thing,
yes,
and then they're hearing something else, that's it just doesn't it doesn't work. And it doesn't make sense.
And like I said, I always say like, well, me, but then I always sat back because I always play devil's advocate. Like I have a vision and I have a view, but then I also try to sit back and say, well maybe why? Like I always question. I'm always analyzing stuff. Like if I didn't like heavy metal music, but if I at least tried, I might. Like not everyone's willing to do that kind of stuff, and I totally understand that. And like how we were saying before, rock is weird. Like I know I have friends who listen to rock music, and if it's not heavy enough, they hate it. Like that they have like I just call rock.
It's funny you say that.
Yeah.
Because now we are a rock station. Does that mean that we don't play any alternative? No, not at all. As a matter of fact, we play quite a bit of alternative.
Yeah.
If you're comparing us to Sirius XM, all right, I don't know if can we say their name? Sure. Is that copywritten or whatever? No. But if you're comparing us to them,
they're never going to hear this.
I would say, I don't know. I think some of the DJs listen to us actually, but I would say we're a combination of Octane Turbo, Lithium, with a smidge of Hair Nation and Ozzy's Boneyard.
Yeah, all good stations.
But they are all good stations, and we have a guest in the studio. Missy likes the DJ from time to time. Missy is my black cat. Yes. She does. She'll hop up and she'll like start rubbing on the microphone while I'm doing a shift. Sometimes it's hilarious. But anyway, yeah, these that we will play alternative. We will play some metal. So we do play Slipknot.
Yeah.
All right. We don't play a ton of Slipknot. We play more Stone Sour,
Yeah.
but we do play Slipknot, and we do play the new Slipknot. Especially. We do play old school metal. So we do play Metallica.
Sabbath.
We do play Megadeth. We do play
Maiden.
Anthrax. We play Iron Maiden. We play Black Sabbath, like you had said, etc. But
All right, now you're just playing me.
there's really two.
Is there two cats?
No.
Oh.
No, there's not.
All right.
It just goes around. That's all.
He's like, he opened it once. I wonder if I'll do it again.
But, it's like some people say, well, why don't you have like a metal hour? Or why don't you have a local band show the way, other radio stations do? And I say, look, what we're doing, we're trying to do something that is kind of like what's the word I'm trying to think of here? A collage or a big soup pot full.
Hodgepodge.
Yeah, a hodgepodge. There you go.
My friend Ben on the show is gonna love that I use that word.
Hodgepodge.
He tried to name our one show Pop Culture Hodge. That was supposed to be the name of Not Cool in High School. Pop Culture Hodgepodge.
And that would not be cool in high school.
And I hated it.
But anyway, other radio stations do this stuff. Mm-hmm. And there are rock stations that play a little bit of classic, a little bit of new. Of course, that's called variety. Mm-hmm. Okay, or at least it's not necessarily variety if it's the same different styled songs that are played over and over again. Yeah. So what we try to do,
playing the hits from the 80s over and over again.
We will play hits next to bands that you don't really hear other places.
Yeah.
Then we'll play album cuts from some of the other hit bands. Then we'll throw in some independent artists. And we don't overdo it because, let's face it, there's only so much music that you can fit in 1 hour. But the way we always try to make it work out is that, and this is what I always try to tell people, like you can't, everybody is going to tune into a radio station. Even myself, who owns the radio station, is going to tune into the station and hear songs that they don't like.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's okay. Like, I will play something that I don't like because I know that other people will like it. Mm-hmm. Okay? Very unpopular decision. I am not a fan of Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows me very well knows that I'm not a huge fan of Pearl Jam.
Some people like Nickelback. I was taking a
You're
shot.
an ass.
Actually,
the truth is they jumped the shark.
Yeah.
Okay, that poster right there that got signed, that's on my wall.
Yeah.
They were cool then.
Yeah.
So-
Well, we actually did an interview. I did an interview with a heavy metal band. Like they're heavy, and the one member of the band is like, "I like Nickelback," and I was like, "Wait, what? Are we allowed to say that?" Like, and he goes, "No." He goes, "The reason I like them is because they're fully aware of what they're doing. They even say to themselves, like, we can do heavy metal music. We're talented enough to do it, but it doesn't sell. So we're gonna play poppy stuff that's gonna put on the radio, and we're gonna do cookie cutter."
They do have heavier stuff on their albums.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, we do cookie cutter music because we're trying to make money. We
Right.
completely sold our soul.
Right.
And
Right.
they're very well aware of it.
Right. I mean, they didn't sell it completely. They still have it on the albums.
Yeah.
They just don't always release it.
Yes.
Yeah. But yes, they jumped the shark a few albums ago, and now I'm kind of done.
Yeah.
Kind of done for a while. But we even the independent artists, like, we will play unsigned artists. You can only fit so much in 1 hour. Mm-hmm. And our concept is, and I always tell people this, to, if you're going to listen to the station, give it a chance. Mm-hmm. Listen to it for about 15, 20 minutes. And it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone. So I always encourage honest feedback, whether you like it or whether you don't.
Yep.
But don't just say it sucks, or don't just say it's great. Tell me why it's great or why it sucks.
I listened to, I would say about five or six songs from our trip over from Tattered Flag to here. Mm-hmm. First song I tuned in, I was like, oh, not a fan of that one. I'm not a huge Five Finger Death Punch guy. But it was,
Okay.
but it was a decent five. It wasn't like a hit five finger. It was like something I've never heard before. It was like a five finger that it wasn't something I've heard. So it wasn't something I was like expecting. But it wasn't horrible. I enjoyed it. And then you played Fozzy, and you had a really cool intro to Fozzy talking about wrestling, which is awesome. So brownie points,
I'm a
A plus.
dork. Yeah.
And then you played some Chili Peppers, and I think there was like another song I was into right after that too. But even the Fozzy song you played wasn't the one I was like. It wasn't a Fozzy song that I thought most like if you're in here like most.
It was his latest single, I think, at the time.
Yeah. It was good. I liked it. I mean, now that I know I can listen to it more, I'm going to.
Yeah, I was on the radio at the time, wasn't
Yeah, you were. Yeah, I heard your Fozzy cut. It was
That's
awesome.
right. That's right.
Fozzy's going to be at Chameleon Club.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'll be there.
And I think he's going to be with Through Fire.
Yeah,
If I'm not mistaken.
yeah. I mean,
So,
I'll listen to the intro band, but I'm there for the Le Champion.
Well, I think you're going to be really impressed with Through Fire if
Really?
you haven't seen them yet. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Very good guys, friends of ours, and they're
yeah.
they're on
Right
they're on their sophomore album now.
Cool.
And
Where are they out of?
Yeah, I know, very good friends of ours. But
My bad.
I wanted to say Kansas, but I'm not sure. I know it's Midwest.
Listen, Through Fire. I'll buy a T-shirt if you can give me a high five with the Le Champion. That'd be great.
Well, we'll see what we can do, right? But yeah, independent artists we will play once every 2 hours also.
Oh, cool.
And-
How does an artist? Sorry to cut you off, but how does an artist go about? Like, so say, like I interview a lot of bands, and
Okay.
if they listen to this interview and they're like, well, how do we get radio time so we can maybe get some ears on our stuff? How do they go about getting on the station?
They can submit their music for consideration.
Yes,
Because again, you can only fit so much music in.
an hour.
Yeah. So you can submit it via email. The email address is on the website. So if you just go to www.irockradio.me, go under the features section, which is right on the header. The scroll down for features, one will say iRock Indies. Click on that, and it'll give you a summary of what iRock Indies is. It'll also explain to you where to go, what email address. I'll say it now, but you don't have to remember it now if you go to the website. It's irockradio365@gmail.com. So if you do that...
30-minute mark. Just kind of memorize that.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. Have you been talking that long already?
Yeah, it goes quick. I'm telling you.
I'm full of hot air, buddy.
I'm only saying that so I'm going to clip it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Might want to clip it again.
Sorry, it's all natural. That's why I love it. Natural conversation.
Oh, no.
So you go to the thing, you put your email in.
irockradio365@gmail.com. So you can do that. And then also, on that feature, you can see a list of all of the iRock indies that we do play. Any bands that are unsigned or that are on an independent label, we call iRock indies.
Cool.
And then you can just click on any of them. You can click on Cold Kingdom. You can click on From Around Here, Another Day Dawns, or Small Town Titans.
I love Small Town Titans.
They are amazing.
They're not signed yet.
No.
How?
No.
They're so
and you
good.
know, that's another thing that could be a whole different podcast of its own.
I'd love to interview them.
Another show, and that would be the fact that there are so many bands anymore that really they're succeeding without being on a label.
Yeah, they're doing
or
great.
not being on a major label.
Yeah.
Another band that works very.
The drummer's a big wrestling fan too.
I know.
Huge wrestling fan.
I know. I keep telling him, like, dude, you got to come here not just for an interview, but we'll have a pay-per-view party here. It'll be great.
I'm in. Tell me.
Are you in?
I'm in.
All right.
I met him at a wrestling show.
We'll plan it for WrestleMania.
All right. I met him at a wrestling show. We met at I walked up to him, I was like, "Hey, I know you don't know me, but like he went to North Schuylkill, so we're in the same neighborhood. He's from Schuylkill County, the drummer. He lives, I think he's from Gordon. So
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, I know you don't know me, but I do a podcast and like I'm a big fan of your band. It'd be cool if like we ever work." And it kind of, I'm not saying he blew me off, but I'm sure he gets it all the time. You know what I mean? And I was just still green, but I'm like, I'm a fan of your band. You have really good music. Not just like a lot of people are like, "Oh, I love their covers." No, their originals are just as good. Like that dude's voice is phenomenal.
I think, I mean, you can see a ton of their covers right now on YouTube.
They get a lot of hits.
But, I mean, to the point now where this is their job.
Yeah.
They don't do any other jobs outside of this, except for Phil, the singer. Yeah, Phil. He gives voice lessons.
Yeah,
But
I've never seen someone push out that deep of a bass out of a voice.
And then go that high also.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that, I mean, hitting a high note you can do. I'm not saying it's easy, but I think it's harder to get as much, because when you go deep, you lose more projection. He projects his bass voice, like, it's unbelievable.
I can get you to do a high note right now.
It would just kick me in the nuts. No.
I was going to get up and
The wrestling's getting out of control now. No, yeah.
Is this the Tornado Podcast, or is this...
All my shows blend into each other. I'm sure at some point we'll start talking about movies. It happens all the time.
You do understand you said 30 minutes a little while ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Small Town Titans. I actually was listening. I had them in the car the other night on their way home we were out with friends, and I was like, and I put on their Folsom Prison Blues, and I put on some of their originals. Very, very good band.
Their new single is called The Man, which we just started playing. And yeah, I mean, every single song that they come out with is the potential of being money.
Yeah, I agree.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, I like them a lot.
And, you know, while we're at it, might as well just say now, because I know, you know, your heart is solely in Schuylkill County. Well, I shouldn't say solely, but...
I mean, I'm very proud, and I'm
yes.
trying to build up there, but I'm open to talk to anyone from anywhere.
But I am very proud of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania as a whole. Last year was such a wake-up call for me. I was... because when I go through... You know, I go through and add music the same as a lot of different program directors of FM radio stations. I'm very open to playing things that other stations aren't, though. But I always check the charts and the different releases of record labels also. And when I go through it, I see the media base of the top rock songs in the country. And the wake-up call was a year ago. I guess it was about January a year ago. And in the top 20 rock songs in the country, 5 of them were from Pennsylvania between Scranton and York.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have any names?
So it was Breaking Benjamin.
Yeah, they're still doing huge.
It was Hailstorm.
Yep.
It was From Ashes to New.
I did not know they were from Pennsylvania. That's cool.
They're actually closest to here out of all the bands. They're from Elizabethtown, so they're right in between Harrisburg and Lancaster. It was a band called Kulik, who was on RCA at the time. They're now releasing another album just independently they have the same management as the Goo Goo Dolls.
Okay.
But Kulik is more of an alternative artist. So it was Kulik, Hailstorm, From Ashes to New, Breaking Benjamin, and Motionless in White.
Okay.
And Motionless in White is from Pittston. So between Wilkes-Barre and Scranton.
Yeah.
So, and that was all in the top 20 rock songs in the country.
Yeah. And then just a couple weeks ago, Crowbot just broke top 10 for rock songs right now.
Right.
With Low Life.
Right.
And they're, Pottsville. So that's awesome. And
as a matter of fact, I think last year, didn't they have a single that was still it was at least in the top 50.
Yeah, probably.
So I forget what it was.
Yeah.
It was, I like Crowbot stuff, but I was not a fan of that single, so I don't remember
it might have been their third album.
Might have been.
Their new album is awesome. I'm still very, very big on
They
first
did a
album.
great show at the Chameleon Club.
They're just fun. We're talking about being genuine on stage and just being then being just that coming through. Exactly who they are on stage is exactly who they are off stage. Like Bishop playing and smiling and having a good time, and they're just how they legit have fun being around each other. The chemistry that band is
and
phenomenal.
Hailstorm are like the only 2 bands that I really haven't had any quality one-on-one time with
so cool.
to talk with.
Now that Hailstorm singer, she's female, right?
Lizzie. Yeah.
And she's like 13. Like she started young.
You know what's funny? The only time that I've ever met Hailstorm was I was working at a radio station down here in the Harrisburg area called 105.7 The X. Mm-hmm. And they were involved heavily at the time with the Millennium Music Conference. And I forget what bands were like really big at the time. Darcy Minor Band, and I think Condition K, which had the original drummer of Breaking Benjamin in it then at that time. But I mean, it was a really great Millennium Music Conference. And all of a sudden, this band comes up on stage, and I was like, and I'm going to say it because I don't care, because really it's just going to make me sound like an idiot, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I saw this band come up on stage, and it was literally two kids and their dad. And
Judge them right away.
I did. Like we were saying before, judging right away. And then they started doing like hairband type music, which I am a huge fan of hair bands.
I love hair metal.
But big hairy butt here.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of hairband style when it's a band that's trying to get into today's music.
Unless you're Steel Panther.
Well, this was in 2004.
Yeah.
Okay? So, really, if you were trying to be cool in music, you wanted to be as far away from the hairband era as possible. You know, unless you were like the Darkness or something like that.
They were awesome, too.
Yeah. But, so...
If hair metal can come back,
right away, I was like,
that.
you know what? This girl has an incredible voice.
Yeah.
But if they're doing this stuff, how are they ever going to make it? Well, wasn't I a friggin' idiot?
First time I ever seen Brandon, we were at Goodfellas, and he walked out in a woman's suit jacket and a pair of the tightest pants I've ever seen in my life, with his long hair and he didn't even have the full beard. He just had big mutton chops, I think, at the time. And he walked out and goes, "Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Brandon from Crowbot." And I was like, all right, what is this guy doing? And then he hit that first note of Legend of the Spaceborne Killer, and I was like, sold. I walked right over to their merch table. I was like,
that was it. That was the single.
Yeah. Legend of the Spaceborne Killer, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was their first song they ever put out. Like, that's what they open every show with, Legend of the Spaceborne Killer. So,
oh, really?
So their thing...
So they re-released that?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it was re-released, but like they had like an EP version and then like a paper CD version, and then they re-released it with a new guy came in and kind of reformat it a little bit. But their Legend of the Spaceborne Killer is like Eddie to Iron Maiden. So like they use the Spaceborne Killer, like it's a silhouette of like a demon monster thing, and they try to put that image on all their albums. So he's like that is like their Eddie. Like he follows them everywhere. Like he's on every album.
Gotcha.
So if you look at every album, the Spaceborne Killer is somewhere on it. They have a comic book based on the Spaceborne Killer. Like Brandon does a comic book. It's called Hobo Comics, and it's called Legend of Spaceborne Killer. I think he's working on the second issue now, but it's a whole backstory of where this monster, alien, demon came from that's terrorizing the world. It's awesome. Yeah, it's super cool. Yeah, but yeah, it's a Halo story. I actually seen them on MTV, like in 2004, 2005. I guess they had like a spotlight on them.
Yeah,
and then
and
I believe their music
what was their their first single was a ballad.
And they were featured on, I think, one of those, I don't know if it was Madden, but it was on one of the EA Sports video games. One of their songs were featured. It was like a heavier song.
Okay.
Yeah.
I Hate the Misery?
It might have been.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember, this is a cool song, and then looking it up and like, holy crap, they're from PA. I just remember that being cool.
Bitter Taste of Poison.
That
was their first single.
Okay.
That was more of a ballad.
Yeah. I'd have to look it up, but I do remember, I think that's kind of where I heard of them.
Yep.
But yeah, even like the Harrisburg area. Like I know, like I don't really know much of the like band wise when it comes to Harrisburg, but I met a lot of the local like hip hop and raps and artists that way. Some super talented people.
Oh yeah.
And then a lot of them like, I can't wait to get out of this area because you can't be successful in this area. I'm like, you're so wrong. Like if you live in the Harrisburg, School County area, we're 3 hours from 3 major metropolises. So if people from New York, Philly, and Pittsburgh are all traveling through and they're trying to branch out to find new things, you're right in their radar. Like,
you know, Fuel moved to Harrisburg to get noticed.
yeah.
They originated in Nashville. Mm-hmm. So, which by the way, didn't Crowbot weren't they originally from?
No, Bishop when he was younger lived in North Carolina, but then he moved.
Okay.
When he was like I guess like a teenager.
So it wasn't the band.
And then he
that
met and then he met Brandon. This could be all wrong. I'm just kind of going by memory a little bit, but then he met Brandon while he was living and working, and he was in some bands in the area up here, like Monster Party and stuff. So then he met Brandon. They started Crowbot, and then they've had some member changes. The drummer now, crazy. I won't go to the full story because if you ever interview him, it is a great one to talk about. But they actually met their drummer on a Craigslist ad.
Nice.
Yeah. and then he like came and did like a thing, and he's like, he's just their personality. He's like the perfect fit. Like he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then Eddie has just been like the Collins. His whole family has been just amazing musicians. Their dad has been in the business for so long and doing such cool things in music. And then all the kids just came out to just being amazing musicians. Like one of the biggest cover bands in our area is Hooligan, and his brother is like the member of that. And then his sister's a drummer of a band called Adrenaline. And then Eddie just now kind of finding his way into Crowbot, but he's been in the music scene forever too. Just amazing.
Nice.
So it's just a good melting pot for that band right now.
But you know, when a band leaves Nashville, which Nashville, although yes, they are known there for country without a doubt, but it is quite a big rock town also.
It's a melting pot.
Yeah, it is a melting pot.
Yeah.
But a band like the caliber of Fuel that moved to Harrisburg to get noticed. And they did that at the time only because of Live and the Badleys, when you think about it.
Yeah.
And then if you count Philadelphia, which we haven't even mentioned any Philadelphia bands, then, you got the hair bands. So Poison originated from Mechanicsburg, and Cinderella and Brittany Fox came from Philadelphia area. And
Is Sebastian Bach from around here too?
That I don't know.
I thought he was from originally.
That I do not know.
There's a rumor that one of Poison's first shows is in Minersville.
It might have been.
Yeah.
It might have
like
been.
a dive
Of course,
bar.
they didn't have CC DeVille at the time because they did pick him up in L.A.
Yeah.
And then there's other musicians and other bands that are from Pennsylvania also. And we're not even touching on the pop artists. We're just talking about the rock artists. But
Pink's from right outside of Philly.
yeah, and
It's not Mechanicsburg though.
no,
But
and then someone really big is from Reading.
Taylor Swift, but she doesn't claim it.
Well, yeah, but still,
She's from Nashville.
the drummer of Stitched Up Heart is from Scranton.
Okay.
He actually Decker. He graduated with my intern that we were talking about back at the X in Wilkes-Barre, who got me the Ozzy poster. But he graduated with her, and then he ended up going to Southern California.
Yeah.
And Roy, who's in Stone Sour, and now also, and by the way, he got the drumming gig in Stone Sour, recommended to Corey by Vinnie Paul. He actually got recommended by Vinnie Paul.
Wow.
And now he is taking over in Hell Yeah with Vinnie Paul, or for Vinnie Paul also. And he's from Easton.
Yeah, it's insane.
So
I always tell musicians, I could be completely wrong by giving this advice, but I always say, just play make little videos and just play on your instrument. Like those, how people do those little covers and they play them and put them on YouTube or Facebook.
Yeah.
You would not believe how far they reach out, and people eat that up.
And oh my God, I forgot about Kevin Safura.
Yeah.
Do you know Kevin at all? He has a studio. I think it's in Easton or Bethlehem. But he drummed temporarily on tour with Breaking Benjamin, but then also he was a drummer on tour for a while with Seether.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This area is
which made
awesome.
for a wonderful conversation on Shiprocked with the singer of Seether.
Yeah.
Because I talking to him about doing, instead of doing a larger venue, he did 2 nights in a row at the Chameleon Club, and having all these different friends in common. It's been an amazing career and hobby.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
You meet really cool people.
It really has.
We were actually just talking. You said Shiprock. Going back to wrestling a little bit, we were just talking on the way up. I want to do Jericho's cruise in the worst way, like the Jericho cruise.
It seems like it would be fun.
God.
It
would be fun. It's wrestling and rock and roll.
I know, but I'm so sold on Shiprocked every year now.
Really?
That's my thing.
Is that a rotating artist?
Yeah, the artists are rotating each year, so you never know who's going to be on it until maybe 6 months before the cruise.
Yeah, pro wrestling and rock and roll. I'm there. Like my dream lineup, if like they can do it, like obviously because Jericho has like so many connections. Like obviously he could probably do like a Maiden or something, like something crazy like that. But like he's friends with Steel Panther. He's friends with obviously, and then Steel Panther just finished with Crowbot, so like them two on that cruise, and then like if you like a fun cover band, he's always plugging. Who's that '80s band that always Jesse's Girl? He's friends with some of the people from Jesse's Girl. Yep. He always talks about it on their podcast. Like that'd be an awesome cruise. Like you know what I mean? It's a little bit of everything there, and then you got obviously got some AEW wrestlers.
Oh, I'm sure it would be awesome. I'm not downplaying it. I'm just saying I'm sold on Shiprock. You can only afford to go on so many cruises.
Yeah, 100%. Unless you subscribe and hit support to this guy more.
Yeah, there you go. Sure.
So how did the IROC come about, and how did this whole process start?
Guy that we briefly touched on and mutual friends with Al, or Big Al.
Yep.
I've knew Al since college. And Al was just one of those guys that he had a natural radio voice, or a narrator voice or something. He just had it. Yeah. He had it, and we met at Lehigh Carbon Community College, and we joined the radio station there, which at the time had an FM frequency, and we became roommates and skipped a lot of classes and just devoted ourselves into the college radio station. Graduated, I went into radio. He ended up taking a completely different route, getting away from what he went to school for, and which is great because he has a wonderful family now. And he became even a better DJ by just being a listener in his truck while he's driving and talking on the CB.
That's why I always tell people, too, like, if you're doing podcasts, listen to other... If you're going to do anything, just listen to other people.
He is a professional radio listener. That's exactly how he describes himself. And we were talking for a while, because every once in a while we would do, like, these reunions of... We had this thing called Kick-Ass Friday, every Friday that was all hard rock, heavy metal, and we'd get a little bit heavier as the day went on until the late-night metal show back then. And... Al and I would always, would talk about, the idea of, having our own internet radio station. Now, at the time, we started talking about this in, I think it was 2005. And in 2005, you had the internet, but I wasn't sold on the idea.
I think my dad had an internet radio show at one time, when it first got popular.
I was not sold on the idea of going to the trouble of doing radio for someone that had to be pretty much sitting at their desk and listening to it on the computer the whole time. Mm-hmm. So I just call it visionary or whatever. But back then I was like, dude, here's what we're going to do. We're going to come up with the concept. We're going to come up with the name. We're going to come up with, the what's called a clock, which in radio they do. At this time you play this category, this time you play this category. And it's not necessarily like, rock, country, whatever, but it would be like, this is going to be, from this time era. And, after that will be a 90s song, and after that will be something brand new, and after that will be, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I put this clock together, and I never got rid of it. At the time, the name of the radio station was different, though. I came up with the name Rebel Radio X back then. But
Rebel
Radio X.
Where'd you get that?
Yeah. I just... the idea of Rebel Radio was a big thing back then.
Because Howard used to use Rebel as one of his songs.
It had nothing to do with Howard back then.
Sorry. We're going back to the Howard.
Sorry.
My fandom one kicked in.
Yeah. You'd be one of those, like, just... starstruck fans. Have you ever met Howard?
It's crazy though, because I don't really get crazy over celebrities like that. Like if I meet someone, I'm just like, it is what it is.
But
there's a few people out there that I get giddy.
Yeah. Jericho's probably one of them too.
He would be one. Yeah. Him, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels. I would.
Okay.
I would take my bra off.
Oh, that's sweet. Walmart or Victoria's Secret,
whatever I can afford. Expensive equipment's expensive.
But I said, look, we're gonna put this idea together, and when the time is right, we'll do it. But I'm not convinced that this is the way to do it. While you have to be married to your desk. Mm-hmm. So I said, eventually the time is going to come where you can hop in your car and you're going to be able to press a button on your car and listen to internet radio while you're driving. And it's not going to have to be satellite radio because satellite was out then.
Yeah, it was huge.
Satellite radio was out then, except it was Sirius and it was XM. There were as two separate companies. But you're not going to have to be married to the desk. What I didn't realize was that your phone was eventually going to be something where,
An app.
Not just in your car and at your desk, but you could just take it anywhere.
Bluetooth has become amazing.
And yes. So now, and when this first came about, I was like, okay, the time is now. Now, how do we do it? Mm-hmm. And a buddy of mine named Blake Dannon, he used to work at WZZO. He still does weekends at WMMR. But he, at the time, was working with this company called Live 365. And Live 365 they were a company that was kind of like iHeartRadio before iHeartRadio existed. And when you had a radio station on their network, it was just on Live 365, though. You couldn't do it through Live 365 and then be on the TuneIn app and then be on the iHeartRadio app and then be on et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You had to be exclusively on Live 365. And at the time, it was insanely cheap. It was like ridiculous. It was like $30 a month. And it paid your royalty fees. Well, of course it paid your royalty fees because it was only through their network. But, and you also, if you did end up getting sponsorships or you did end up doing a show at a club like we do, we're fortunate enough to have venues to work with and partner with on concerts. And, this is where, a little bit of, working in FM, really paid off because I established friendships with different promoters and different venues. And anybody who's listening that hasn't heard of the Chameleon Club really hasn't been going out and going to a lot of concerts because the Chameleon Club is a very legendary rock club, not just in Pennsylvania, but now in the United States. There was CBGB's. They are no longer around anymore. Yeah, there was the Trocadero in Philadelphia. That's not, you can argue that the Electric Factory is a legendary venue now.
What was the other one that was really popular? Like Croc Rock, whatever. I remember that being huge at one time.
You know what? I'm not going to knock Croc Rock. It was a cool club, but it literally
that's where everybody wanted to go.
It literally was a snap of a finger.
Yeah, that was the popular one when I was like in high school. I was like, oh, we need to go to Croc Rock.
You want to talk about a venue that was pretty legendary for at least 15 years, maybe longer, was the Silo in Reading.
Yeah.
So that was a name.
Goodfellas could be that.
Could be. Yeah.
They just got to put their money into the building. I said it, not him.
Okay. So
I'm just very I'm just like I said, Goodfellas. You have amazing music in your area, but you're not cashing in.
These venues that are legendary clubs, there aren't as many of them anymore.
Yeah.
That have been around for 20, 30, almost 40 years.
Yeah. The cool thing with Chameleon Club too is it has the huge upstairs venue, and then it has the smaller venue in the bottom, like the Lizard Lounge, where you can be the upcoming band and still put a show on there.
Yes.
And then you work your way up to the Chameleon Club. It's kind of neat.
So, but you have the Chameleon Club, you have the Stone Pony. I think that's in LA, right? Stone Pony.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other, really good. I think the
Rainbow
Room.
The Rainbow and the Viper Room.
And the Viper Room.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, I'll digress and get back to what we were talking about. But so we started, getting involved with a bunch of different venues too, and we're very fortunate to be able to do that. But, it's definitely been a process, and we do this for the passion of it. We do it, to go out and get involved in the shows and interview the different bands and get in front of people. And as we started growing, Live 365 ended up closing shop because royalty fees started going up. There was this big thing with royalty fees for the artists with ASCAP, BMI, and all the other organizations. So costs kept going up, and Live 365 said, we can't handle this anymore. So I talked to another buddy of mine that was doing an internet radio station, mostly on Live 365, to be honest with you. It was mostly people just putting a podcast on, or not a podcast, I'm sorry, an iPod shuffle.
Oh, really?
There was no imaging, there was no DJs, there was no nothing.
Yeah.
It was just music and dead air in between.
Yeah, and then you're working your butt off to make like a schedule and a
And
promotion.
I'm programming it. I'm making everything real tight so
some
that
guy
the songs
goes-
go back to back to back. You're hearing DJs in between. You're hearing, they're called sweepers or station IDs, but
yeah.
some people call them station commercials or whatever. The little things that with the effects and the voice guys and the sound bites that say the radio station name. Regardless, see, I get sidetracked a lot.
I like it. I like it.
Squirrel.
Yeah. Butterfly.
But no, it we did all that. Live 365 closed down, and then we had to start doing everything ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's like one company out there, I think, called ProNet Licensing, and if you pay them a set fee, they will pay the royalties to all of the different organizations. So now we do that. Now we're on the TuneIn radio app, that network. And that's the one that we were talking about before where, when you log on the TuneIn, you download the app, make sure you click the X in the upper right-hand corner.
Unless you're a baller, then get that subscription.
But they want you to buy premium so that way, they don't have to sell as many commercials and et cetera, et cetera. The thing is that really we don't pause for commercials, so you're not really gonna be hearing many commercials.
Yeah. That's what we're talking about too. Like a lot of podcasts, they'll be like, "Oh, your podcast an hour and 45 minutes. That's too long. Your podcast 2 hours is too long." I'm like, there's a lot of podcasts that are an hour or too long, but 45 minutes of that hour is ads snuck in between. And you have to hit the skip button to get through all the ads.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, if people want to do ads, I'll do the same thing, but I'm not that level yet. So you're getting legit. The full content is it. You're listening to us the whole time.
But yeah, even when we do start running sponsors, which we will, but we're only going to do no more than 2 minutes.
Yeah, or
an hour.
just do like the live read thing.
No more than 2 minutes.
Where you have like
it doesn't make a difference to anyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a difference to what you're talking about. If you're stopping the music for that long, it better be something really entertaining.
Yeah.
Or you better get in, get out.
Yeah.
And that's what they tell you in the pros.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, think about it. Now, what we're doing right now, people want to hear us talking. They want if they don't, they're long gone by now.
Yeah.
But they want to hear us talking about the different topics. Mm-hmm. But someone that's tuning into a radio station that's music oriented, Yeah. Like even when I interview different artists, and it's probably too long also, but I'll go about 7 or 8 minutes, and then usually in the interview we'll take a break and play music. Then we'll come back and we'll do 7 or 8 more minutes before we're out.
Yeah.
And occasionally sometimes they go a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But like
I always liked, like me personally, well, I'm not the majority, but like when the DJ before a song is played kind of gives you a little insight about the artist, or like, hey, this artist that you're about to hear, like how you're doing, like, Chris Jericho, the lead singer of this band, is a pro wrestler, da 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 da. Like I dig that kind of stuff. I don't know, but I'm very someone who dives into, like, I like music and artists more than what they are, just who they are. I like that kind of stuff. So I do like that.
But that's what I'm saying. It has to be either very entertaining. I should have said it this way.
Or informative.
Very entertaining or very informational on a topic that they want to hear. Well, if you're listening to the music, then you are going to want to hear information about the artist.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you guys do anything at your station for Rush?
We have not over the weekend. It's been a very busy weekend, and I apologize for that. It was an incredible loss.
Yeah. Probably the greatest show of all time.
Arguably. Yeah.
100%.
Yep. So, I mean, we have done for artists in the past. We did for Chester.
That was rough.
We did a memorial for
Prince?
Chris Cornell.
Oh, Cornell, yeah.
Chris Cornell. Chester.
That Chester one sucked, man. I was devastated. I had tickets to go see Blink-182 in Lincoln Park, which were when I first got into. I always say when I first got into music. Obviously, my dad was always been a music guy, always. So once I stopped listening to his music and I found my own bands, my first band that was my band was like Linkin Park and Blink-182. And I was I was still a huge Blink-182 fan. And then when I found out they were doing 2 shows and one of them was in Hershey, I was pumped. I was like, this is happening. And the Tuesday before the show, Chester took his own life. I was devastated. Devastated. Yeah, that was a huge loss. We were in Vegas. I might have told this on a different show, but if you've heard it, just hit the skip button. Hit the 30-second button. But we were in Vegas, and I was intoxicated, so I was it was extra emotional, I guess you could say. And we were walking. You ever been to Fremont Street in Vegas?
I've never been to Vegas yet.
Oh, do it. It's amazing. Especially if you like music. Go straight to Fremont Street. Skip everything else.
I know quite a few people in Vegas, and they keep saying, you got to come out to visit. You got to come out to visit.
Yeah.
And
I don't gamble.
It's definitely something that's on my list to do.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, quick shout out to Tommy Paris of Brittany Fox. He's one that keeps saying, come on out to visit.
Yeah.
We became friends through Twitter.
Really?
And then he ended up, he was the first rock artist to guest DJ on iRock Radio.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Now, to guest DJ, you could do it from your computer? Like, how do you do that?
You can do it with a computer and a mic. When we first started, and Big Al was the guy who did this, because like I said, him and I started this together, along with some other guys from college radio. And then I started eventually talking to different people that I worked with at other FM radio stations. But Al used a microphone that was used for Rock Band.
Oh, okay.
And he put it on a mic stand. It went into the USB port, and he put a mic filter over it, and it sounded fine. Of course, I'll also credit that to his voice. Because
the voice of an angel.
But, yep. But the funny thing is that one of our other DJs just noticed this recently, and I used to, like, occasionally, if I wasn't doing an interview, and I just kind of ran into somebody, whether it be the singer of All That Remains or Chris Motionless of Motionless and White on the Shipwrecked Cruise or whoever, I'd be like, hey, can you do a station ID for us? And then I had an MP3, like an audio recording app on the phone.
Get you a Zoom.
Yeah. But did it on the phone. Matt from Ashes to New, he's like, oh, well, let's do it in the bathroom. And it's so funny because like everyone's like looking like Matt and I are walking to the bathroom after the Chameleon Club closed. No, we weren't doing any of that.
That's what it looked like, though.
Nope. But
we'll talk about it.
And he just talked right into the phone and recorded. We recorded it on a wave, which I converted to MP3.
Nice.
The funny thing is that now, one of our DJs noticed, oh wait, what if I put this filter that normally goes over a microphone, I put this over my phone, and I use that same app. And you know what happened? It sounds just like this.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So now we have
a pop filter in your pocket.
Now we've had people, listeners, guest DJ, and we've had different artists guest DJ on tour, recording their talk breaks on their phone. And it sounds just fine.
Oh, wow.
Because technology has become so advanced that now you can actually do it from anywhere, and it still sounds just like we're in this room right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now when it comes to like the future of iRock, what are some of your goals, plans?
You know, the funny thing is that iRock has already surpassed the goals that I've had. Mm-hmm. I've just... At first, I never anticipated it getting off the Live 365 network. At first, I never anticipated it going longer than 5 years. We're going on 6 years, January 20th.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. We started... I never anticipated when we first started doing concerts. So now with the Chameleon Club, with Reverb in Reading, with working with SLP Concerts, Stan Levinstone, with working with the HMAC and 717 Entertainment, doing all of these different shows, whether they're larger shows or smaller shows. We haven't done an arena show yet, but we actually came very close to doing an arena show.
I threw a festival.
I was actually asked if we were interested in it. And this goes back to our conversation about T102 or any other radio station. If you're given something, an opportunity to do something, but it doesn't quite fit the format, is it better to do it just to get in front of these people? Or is it better to not do it? Because really, are you really attracting the people
that your demographic to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the truth is, we probably attract them more than the local FM station, because it was Slayer, and it was Ministry, and it was Primus.
Ooh.
And the truth is, we play Primus, and we could probably play Ministry. And the truth is, we probably could play a Slayer song or two.
That's some Raining Blood.
But at the same time, does it really represent what you normally hear on our station?
If someone is a diehard Slayer fan and they turn in and they hear Five Finger Death Punch, they're going to turn.
Oh no, not necessarily Five Finger Death Punch, but if they hear Imagine Dragons,
yeah.
If
some metal guys think that Five Finger Death Punch is just Imagine Dragons with a heavier sound.
if they hear Goldfinger, which is kind of like a hyped up version of Green Day. That's
Well, Imagine Dragons had weren't they like best they like the songs of the decade, and I think Imagine Dragons was like the top 2 or 3 songs of the decade.
Yeah, because they crossed over. That alternative brand crosses over into different.
I was
genres.
shocked.
So it still counts as active rock. It still counts as top 40. It still counts as kind of like back in the day when Def Leppard would kind of cross over, because they were considered top 40 and they were considered rock and they were considered active rock and they were considered blah, blah, blah. But, the truth was we could have done Slayer, and it was something that, I had to think about it for a while. I was like, man, I would love to do an arena show. And we play about 4 different Primus songs. But are people going there for Primus, or are they going there for Slayer, who really doesn't represent our station? Yeah, we play Metallica. Yeah, we play Megadeth, Iron Maiden. But we're not playing like 4 or 5 songs like that an hour. Mm-hmm. We're probably playing 1 or 2 of them an hour. you know? So, the hard part is trying to keep the image of the radio station consistent.
Yeah.
So is that something that I would like to do? Sure. Do I think that there's an opportunity for that? There might be a little one, but I'm certainly happy with doing stuff at HMAC or the Harrisburg Midtown Arts Center.
It's a fun venue too, the Sherman Theater. That's fun. I like them a lot.
Yeah. I mean, Stan works with them, and he also works with the one station I used to work with, 97.9.
Yeah.
Does a lot there, and I think WZZO does a little bit there also. That's in Stroudsburg.
The camera just shut off. The audio's still going. The camera just shut off. Did you close that area?
Did I break your camera?
No.
Did I? I did. I broke the camera.
Is this plugged in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. All right, I'm not worried about it. I have the audio. We're fine. So the video will only go for a little longer. And then the rest of the audio, they can go tune into the audio platform side. I'm not sure what happened. I hope it just didn't overheat or something. That's never happened. See, I'm hooked up to there, so I hear the audio come through the camera. And then you're through there, so you're hearing the out of the box. And then it just popped. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. No, I'm good. Right. It's getting close there anyway. So yeah, I'm a big fan of You Speak It. You can make it happen. You know, just kind of put it out in the universe and stuff like that. So I definitely don't think that's out of the wheelhouse for you. I think it'll definitely happen.
We've done after our third year. That's when we started doing birthday bashes. Mm-hmm. So the first year we did. It was headlined by Lacey Sturm, the original singer of Flyleaf, a band called Palisades, Letters from the Fire, and Stitched Up Heart. So three out of the four bands that were playing. We played all the bands, but 3 out of the 4 bands were also, it was the beginning of that really strong female-fronted band movement.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. And we did that at the Chameleon Club. Then the following year was a band called Starset. And each year, the band became a little bit more well-known. Because Starset had quite a bit of singles at the time, too. And they finally had... not even pun intended, but I was going to say a monster single. Yeah. And it was called Monster, and that was actually played on almost all the rock stations around. And now last year we did bands that started in the early 2000s, Saliva and Trapped.
Okay.
And they did our 5th birthday bash, and that was at Reverb in Reading.
Oh, cool.
And so was Starset.
When's your next one coming up?
Good question. Good question. So usually around this time period is a time where promoters are kind of waiting. And they're waiting to find out who they're going to be able to book and at what time. And then all of a sudden, somewhere around mid-February, all of a sudden, boom, all these bands start to say, oh, we want to go on tour. Oh, we want to go on tour, etc. So it's kind of a matter of, what's going to be coming out and... working with the different venues. It could be the Chameleon Club in Lancaster. It could be Reverb in Reading. It could be HMAC in Harrisburg, or it could be somewhere different. But yeah. I am big on, continuing to work with the people that have been working with you and helping you as you're growing. And on Live 365, it took a year. We were only on that network for a year. And out of 512 rock stations that were on the Live 365 network, we became a top 10 rock station on that network. You can't really tell with TuneIn and all the different ones. We're also on RadioGuide.fm and Online Music Player and a few other ones. But what I can tell you is that we've grown to the point where we have listeners over a 30-day period. On the average, it's usually been about 98 different countries, but the last I checked, it was 113 different countries.
Wow.
The average listener listens for about 50 minutes, give or take, somewhere between 46 and 52.
Like a car drive.
Yeah, pretty much. And, that's totally fine. Mm-hmm. But I say that's on the average because... there are some people that I swear maybe they, have a business and they just kind of keep it on and it's
like
constantly playing. Yeah, and it's constantly playing.
It would be a decent tattoo shop music.
It would. And we were talking about this before about how we don't necessarily filter, and as you can tell, like
it would be you couldn't hear it in a dentist's office. But
I don't have the most horrible potty mouth. I can try to keep it down. I almost dropped an F-bomb a few times and I didn't.
I struggle sometimes,
but. Our DJs will do it just on occasion, but the truth is most of our music, we do not play the edited version.
Yeah.
Will we play some that are edited? Yes. Why? Well, it's probably because I had it and I don't want to pay to have it a second time.
Yeah.
When, every single song that comes out on our station, if a publicist or a record label isn't giving me that song, I got to go and pay for that MP3. Mm-hmm. So, and I'll be honest with you, when I go to concerts, I like to support the bands. They'll say, hey, here's a CD, and I mean, if I haven't heard of the band, yeah, I'll take the CD. But if I'm supporting that band, if we're promoting that show, if we're and I already know that this is music that I know that I'm gonna like, I'm gonna give them that money because not bands don't make the money that they used to on their music anymore.
100%.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I've been known to spend too much. My wife can attest. When I go to shows, I buy like 4 or 5 T-shirts and some merch and all of it. Yeah, I'm the same way, man. I want to show that support. But we'll wrap up here. Is there obviously iRockRadio.me. .me. Where else can they come see you guys and do some stuff soon? Are you guys doing any local shows anytime soon?
We have a show coming up a week from today at HMAC. Whether you call it Harrisburg Midtown Arts Center, whether you call it House of Music, Arts and Culture.
Yeah.
But
HMAC is the cool name.
HMAC is the cool name. The website is harrisburgarts.com. Yeah. And we're doing a show with Danny Warsnop, the lead singer of Asking Alexandria. He's doing a solo show before he ends up being on Shiprocked with Asking Alexandria, a band that I've loved forever. So this is like this will be one of my moments where I
fangirl.
Fangirl, yeah.
What day is that?
That's Sunday.
This upcoming Sunday?
Yes, a week from today.
Well, this wouldn't air before then, but
yeah.
Okay. But if you were there, cool. We loved seeing you. I'll still put the show up. Like I'll send me the links and all that. I'll put it up there. Yeah, I'm not. I think next Sunday we're doing the Mellow Mink. What time does the show start?
Doors open at 6. I think the first band goes on around 7 or 7:30.
All right, we'll see what we can do. Maybe we can shoot over after Mellow Mink and see a couple songs, or we won't be able to stay the whole night because you'll work the next day. But you go sleep in the car. We'll get you. I know people at HMAC. We'll get you a green room. You can crash.
I have a guest room here.
Yeah. But I want to thank you so much for having us on and doing this. We got to definitely do it again.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah,
you may be in my studio, but we're on your podcast.
Yeah, it was awesome finally sitting down and talking to you. We met so many times and finally got it all worked out.
There's definitely so much more that we can
100%.
talk about. Yeah. Absolutely, and not even including wrestling. So you got to get me on the Tornado.
Yeah,
podcast
we'll have you call
as
in,
well.
talk some wrestling with us.
But it's iRockRadio.me. You can play it on your phone off of the website directly, or online music box, RadioGuide.fm, and definitely tune in. Tune in is our favorite because you can rewind.
Yeah.
You can rewind for about a half hour, and you can also, if you get a phone call, it will pause and it will continue to record.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
nice.
Tune in is always really cool when it comes to that.
Awesome.
But no, I just want to say also that one thing that I've really loved about doing this is the family of DJs that have really come together and helped out with doing this and doing it for the love of the music and for radio. And you can see a list of them on the website, but real quick, Cece is from Trenton, New Jersey, and I used to work with her at an FM radio station. Shelly actually does mornings on Bigfoot Country out of Sealands Grove. Does mornings on that. Craven is the operations manager of Quick Rock in State College.
That's a cool name.
So
it's like he does magic.
Yeah. So he does that. Our IT guy, Andy Andrew, him, Damon Price, who's actually a contemporary Christian artist also. They're from the Allentown area, as well as Damien and Hamilton. And then we have Rick Becker that used to work on 105.7 The X here in Harrisburg, and he now lives close to Orlando, Florida.
Oh, cool.
So we have a ton of guys. Oh, and Mr. Ed does voice work for a bunch of different radio stations. He actually does sweepers.
He's also a horse.
That was his old job. He was a talking horse. but yeah, he used to do mornings in Buffalo back in the day.
So you're out there, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of networking.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep. So we have a lot of great DJs. No two DJs have even a close type of personality to each other. So that's the only thing that would really be different. The music is constantly the same type of format. Again, listen to it for about, I would say about 15, 20 minutes to decide whether or not you actually like the station or not.
Yeah.
And any of the interviews, if they're not being played at a specific time, most of the interviews are in podcast form, and they can be listened to also off of our website as well under the features section.
Awesome.
So,
and if you ever wanted to look to put your pod like that, those interviews on like a platform, kind of like how we do, I can. If you
They are.
Anchor. There's an app called Anchor.
it is.
Yep.
It's on Anchor, so it's on Spotify. It's on
everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if people search iRock Radio on Spotify, your interviews will pop up.
Yes.
Awesome. There you go.
Yes.
You got another one out there.
iRockRadio.me.
.me on Anchor.
And as a matter of fact, on Anchor, I think we actually did the parentheses dot, not the actual dot.
Oh.
But you can try that also.
Yeah. Awesome.
Oh, and to simplify things a little bit also, you could, if you have Alexa, I don't, so it's safe for me to say it right now.
Yeah.
Alexa, play IROCK on TuneIn,
Oh, nice.
and it should start playing.
I got to figure out how to do that.
So
like,
but
on
you have to
Spotify.
have the TuneIn app. But I would imagine if you do that, you'll have the opportunity to download the TuneIn app.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Well, thank you once
right.
again, man. I had a blast.
Thank you.
We're going to do this again. And we'll
I
definitely
look forward to it.
We'll definitely hook up and go see some shows together.
We'll go see some shows. We'll do some wrestling. We'll do some pay-per-view parties. We'll do it all.
You got to come to some indie shows with us. Come to some to a PPW show.
Absolutely.
The 25th. Badass Billy Gunn and the Brooklyn Brawlers going to be there.
You said that before. That's awesome. I forget the name of the organization. There was an organization that did a show at the station I was working at up around Scranton.
Yeah.
It was Insane Clown Posse.
I would have skipped that one.
You went to that?
I would have
Scranton
skipped
Cultural
that
Center?
Center? I'm not a big ICP guy.
Well, station did it back then. Remember what I said about how it's got to fit?
Yeah.
We still sold out.
If you're an ICP fan, please don't turn off if you made it this far.
But I went down to Pottsville and did a show with them, and I got into a scuffle with the one manager, and the wrestler had to it ended up sneaking up behind me and hit me in the back with a chair.
Oh, wow. You
So
took a chair shot.
I took a chair shot.
A good one?
Yeah, it was a good one. And I fell on my face too. Well, it looked like I fell on my face, but
Nice.
Yeah, so I had to go to wrestling school for 2 days
Take a
just to
bump.
learn how to take the chair shot and fall on my face without hurting myself.
You took a bump.
I did.
Good for you.
I did. I was really excited about
I would
that.
take bumps, but it's probably not a good idea.
I guess we can talk about taking bumps in that another time. But
Yeah. Awesome, man. Thank you so much. We're going to close it out here. IwEP Network, interviews with everyday people. Like I said, check everything out in the links below to support this guy and support iRockRadio.me. And we're going to close out here with a Harrisburg rapper, Vito DePiro. So go check it out. All his links are below too. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.
Living my life, just living my life, just living my life. It's my time. Just living my life, just living my life, just living my life. It's my time. Athletic at the peak of my life. Slipped a couple times. I was speeding on ice. Never took a risk. Then you cheating your life. You never took a risk. Then you cheating your life. It's a hole in my heart, probably never be filled. And part of me thinks it'll never be healed. I lost some of my family to the dope. Overflow my mind with positive vibes, that's how I cope. They ask if I stop, I tell them no. Speak foul on my name, clean your mouth, that was soap. I'm crying right now while I'm writing this shit. I'm dying inside just from fighting this shit. Amidst all the darkness, I see light in this bitch. Give me one small spark and I'm igniting this bitch.